All right, we are live.
Hi. Welcome, everyone. This is United for the Plant. And we are here to stand together and fight against unjust cannabis laws and to fight for the free plant and freeing the people. So all of us are here together, just united to do this, and we're all motivated. And definitely our biggest cause is looking at the bills. And so with that, Yolanda, gonna have you start talking about our bills today.
Okay, yes, we have quite a few bills that's up on that we're monitoring, and also the ones that we really and truly need to stop. And the ones that we do need to stop at the moment, for CBD stores and local hemp dispensaries, retail, yeah, I said retail, and also farmers. We need to make sure that these bills are squashed. Last year, we experienced SB 494, which removed all raw flower, smokable hemp, that type of thing, to where the only way you're able to get it is if you have it mailed in, or just the local shops can sell it. So, but these particular bills are going to pretty much shut down the hemp industry. So what we need to do at this point in time is to make sure that we come as a united front down for to testify against these bills. So we need to voice our opinions. Not saying whether or not if it's going to make any type of impact, because we know a lot of these bills are pushed by large companies with money and a budget, and we're just advocates going up there. I'm not going to say just advocates, we're advocates going up there to go ahead and try to have change. But I'm going to tell you, if you are not familiar with any of these bills, the links are down in the description. Ooh, let me turn this off. The links are in the description. And for SB 33, let me pull that one up. SB 33, it threatens Georgia's hemp industry and proposed solutions. Now, the problem is it's overly broad. That they want to say they're concerned about the children, and that's the same way that we have used those buzzwords last year. So SB 33 will it is concerning packaging, wants to make sure that it's not appealing to kids, and then also I'm okay with that, that kind of thing, as far as not okay with the kid, clarifying whether it's hemp wellness product or just standard branding kind of thing. So it looks like they want to put everything all in one particular package, like this one gray scope is going to have whatever your name is here, just something that's not appealing to kids, which will impact a lot of these businesses around here because of added expenses and overhead. Because with the packaging, you have to go and have that repurposed.
So basically, just from a layman's term, because sometimes I have a little trouble understanding. This is HB 33, correct?
I'm sorry, SB 33.
SB 33.
SB 33.
And so it's working to change the way, once again, like they did last year when they were removing stuff, change the way either these goods are packaged or produced all together, and it's going to cause basically a big detriment to business owners.
Yes, it will, because when it comes to the point, like even with SB 494 from last year, if your product tests above the limits of THC, in which that is troubling because they added the decarbonization, the decarbing. I can't really get that out. Yeah, decarbing the product before testing in its natural state without having any type of heat added to it, it's legal. But when you add heat to it, then it automatically activates those THC molecules in there to where it goes above. So that's not good for a lot of businesses, because basically before, when they came into play, they were based off of dry weight of the THC prior to decarbing. However, the loophole in 494 is the fact that it says unprocessed. But if you process it, that means that it's possible that, that's like, look, with these particular bills, they're trying to close the loophole with this one right here.
So that was HB 33.
SB 33.
What's the other one?
SB 33, and then we have SB 254. SB 254, that is one that was on the floor that they were attempting to, it was proposed amendments to the Georgia Hemp Farming Act, introduced restrictions on consumable hemp products, specifically targeting beverages, edibles, THC limits per serving and per container. So while this bill aims to regulate hemp and hemp-derived THC products, several provisions pose significant challenges to hemp farmers, processors, retailers, and consumers. So basically, what they're trying to do, which is the last minute, if you saw on the news, the legislator proposed that they need to add THC beverages to the slate to ban those. However, they're at first it was like it was going to be some type of cap on it, and how many servings per can. I think that's the one that was in 494, if you can remember, it was in 494. So that's one of the things that we're proposing upon that. So basically, watering down the potency of topicals. And I'm like, why are you worried about topicals?
That's so.
I'm like, topicals, that makes no sense. I can understand you would have had a fighting chance if you want to talk about, drinks, if you want to talk about the edibles, I can understand, but topicals, which leads me to believe that it's some other forces behind it that's trying to push the slowdown of the growth of the hemp industry. So the importance of this particular bill, what we want to squash this particular bill because we want to make sure that we protect companies like who we have here, Amari, the best dirty lemonade. Other people who have drink beverages. We have THC Chill, we have other drink beverages out here that are at stake, and a lot of people have invested their livelihoods in. And so what we need you all to do is to make sure that even if you don't know the details of it, we need your help. We need your help with social media as far as putting out information to stop the bill. We just want to stop SB 33, SB 254, and SB 79. The reason why we bring up SB 79 because it's disguised as a fentanyl bill. However, they have all the other cannabinoids included in on it. So at this point in time, what we need to do is to ensure that we're able to kill the bills and have a discussion. I know they have a study and stuff like that. That's what we have to have a discussion because last year they just wiped it out instead of saying we want to get rid of the bad players. I say it was a lazy legislation because they just cut it all out instead of saying, okay, we have identified the bad players and the bad players are these particular people. Now, if the other people have all the COAs, because a lot of the businesses that we frequent, they're in compliance. The gas stations, that was another thing. That's when you focus on things outside of the plant, that's one thing. But
so the three bills that we're going to be talking about today are SB 33, SB 254,
and 79. And also right now we are letting you all know we do know which one of the riders we have identified, and we want to ensure that we continue to make sure we stay vigilant. And we want to bring awareness to everyone out there and how legislation works up under the gold dome. Because if you realize last year that was a dirty trick. It was slick politics. You might can elaborate on that.
Thank you so much. That is our herbal trucker, y'all know. So we talking about these three bills today.
Okay, yeah.
We have Miss Angela here. She's going to be helping to guide the conversation. Go ahead.
Thank you. So one of the things we definitely want to talk about is how it affects those businesses like Dirty Lemonade. So Amari, can you tell us how these bills would actually affect your business?
Absolutely. So the bill that really affects my business the most would be SB 254. And this bill, essentially, it was supposed to propose a milligram cap on beverages. And then, although we didn't want the cap, a few other beverage companies said we were going to be okay with it at that 5 milligram proposal. At the last minute, right, without any of our input, without hearing any testimony from us, here come these senators saying that this is like putting a loaded gun in our kids' hands, right? And I think that's so apropos that they want to ban these THC beverages, but when it talks about doing sensible gun reform, nobody does anything.
Absolutely.
Anyways, that's a whole nother topic.
Right.
But SB 254 is now seeking to completely disseminate the THC beverage industry in Georgia, which is something that we're against, obviously. And you know, people keep pointing their fingers and saying the alcohol companies are behind it, but they're not. They're our biggest proponent, right? Because with other sectors of the adult beverage going down, you know, alcohol companies are now either A, making their own THC beverages, or B, distributing the THC beverages, right? So we're all working in tandem to make sure we're putting out these amazing beverages. Also, when you're talking about protecting the kids, we're all in favor of protecting the kids. You know, if we're able to protect kids against tequila, why can't we protect them against THC beverages?
Agreed.
Right? You know,
Yes.
I think parents have done a great job of letting their kids know this is an adult beverage, don't touch it. Right? And we'll do the same thing here with the THC beverages. So we have to just be mindful about what they're saying because it doesn't always line up. We don't want to call anybody a liar because they're not. They're just uninformed. So this is why we have to come together as Georgia residents, as Georgia business owners, and we have to make sure that these legislatures, like your legislator, your lawmaker knows where you stand. And so I guess to talk about that next would be, I'll throw it over to Jessica, who will talk about what we're doing this Thursday.
And we definitely go person this Thursday, March 20th, out the trap at the Capitol here in Georgia. But one thing that you were talking about is just reaching out to your legislators. And I know we have some good resources on, if you're like me, if you need a draft or a template or a guide as far as like what to write to your legislators, we have those things available and we will be providing those resources to you just so that you know what to say, so you're not hesitant about sending it out. Also knowing where to go to find who your representative is, whether or not they are on a committee that affects cannabis doesn't matter. It's whether or not they need your support. And if you're looking for a representative that supports cannabis, regardless of everything else they're involved in, they will listen to you and pay attention to you. And that is a big part of why these organizations have put together Out of the Trap Day at the Capitol. We've had some great representatives. Chris Brown with Care for Georgia has been very vocal about pulling these different organizations together and just us coming to fight these bills. We're going to gather at the South Steps, I believe. And what time are we starting?
I'm pulling up the flyer right now. I think it's like from 12 to 4.
Right.
So that means you need to be there at 11.
11 a.m. Meet us on the South Steps of the state capitol here in Atlanta. We're going to be out there basically having a panel discussion with some of our professionals, some of our medical leaders. We're going to be having information from our advocates again, so that the everyday citizen, the everyday patient, the business owners can know exactly where to go in order to voice their opinion against these bills. And we're also just going to have community where we're able to collaborate and really talk to one another from all of our different sides of the cannabis advocacy experience and come together to figure out how that we collectively, give it the name, the United Coalition, because despite all of our different focuses, we all need to come together for things this detrimental. So besides the nuances that we all believe in when it comes, and I'm kind of going off on a tangent right now, but besides those nuances that maybe we might not agree on when it comes to how cannabis should come about in Georgia, we need to make sure that things like this that we do know for a fact that we agree should not go through, we just need to come together and get it out of there. So all of my leaders, please organize your group of people to be there on March 20th, 11 a.m. on the South Steps of the Capitol We're out the trap days so we can come together and start this movement to fight these bigger organizations that are trying to kill the hemp industry and ultimately the open cannabis industry in Georgia. You know, we want to have home. I'm not gonna go there, but it's the start to more oversight that we don't want. So.
And shout out to Representative Eric Bell.
Eric Bell,
yes,
definitely.
He's been instrumental in making sure that, you know, he's one of our lawmakers who understands that he's there as a voice for the people, right? I think it's really imperative that we remind our lawmakers that they need to take our advice and do what we want because we voted for them there.
Exactly.
And if they don't do what we want, guess what? The next election cycle, we may try to find somebody else who does do what we want.
I learned a great word in our last meeting called primary.
Mm.
So although we just had our presidential election, everybody pays attention to our local elections are coming up very quickly. And if these candidates are not on the side of aren't on the side of cannabis, then we need to start finding candidates that are in your area. So
Yes.
I'm looking in Gwinnett already right now and thinking about finding things in my area because I come to Atlanta a lot. But in whatever city you live in, look to see who is your representative and put the pressure on.
But when you look at, also look at the numbers, I mean, we've seen in the last 20 years that most voters are in favor of sensible cannabis legislation, right? They're in favor of allowing people to smoke weed. I mean, smoking weed or ingesting cannabis or drinking cannabis or whatever we're calling it, right? It's not as taboo as it was maybe in the 80s and the 90s,
Definitely
right?
not.
So, I mean, we just have to remind our lawmakers that their thinking sometimes is antiquated and that we need them to vote in favor of their constituents.
Mhm.
That's what they were basically elected for. And it's very, very important that people understand local. We always think about the presidential election, but we definitely need to take a look and know who's in our local communities that's voting on various things, especially like looking at the state under the Gold Dome here in Georgia, but also looking at your commissioners and all of them because they basically turn the neck of that too. And also thinking about who your sheriffs are. These are the people who will lock you up, your judges, all those people.
Mhm.
So you need to know who's in your community, who you're voting for, and not just taking a look at this person who's been there for a while and just allowing them to continue to come back in and
Unopposed a lot of times.
you need to find out how this person has been voting, what they've been doing. If they've been sitting in that office for 10 years and nothing has happened in your neighborhood, nothing has they haven't voted on anything that's for you, that you're looking for as a constituent, it's time for them to go.
Put the pressure on.
There shouldn't be this career politician and they're not doing anything. Politics is not a career.
Mhm.
It's a public service. And if you cannot be a public servant, then you need to go. And that's just simple as that.
Get out.
Most definitely. But now, one of the things that we do need to make sure that we fully understand for those, one, most definitely reach out to everybody that you know, from North Georgia, South Georgia, East Georgia, West Georgia, everywhere. Reach out to your networks, contact your friends, contact your family, tell them to tell a friend, to tell a friend, to tell a friend. We need people to understand that these laws that they're making are not just for Atlanta. I know we talk about, people hear about Atlanta all the time. You may hear about Gwinnett. You may hear about just the perimeter, okay? But these laws that that these legislators are passing, they're for everybody, from the state line up at the end of getting to Florida, to Alabama, to North Carolina, all of it, the entire state. So we want everyone to know these laws affect you and your voice matters. So definitely reach out to everyone that you know. If you have a friend in South Georgia, call them and tell them to tell their friends to get this information. Come to the websites that we actually provide and the links in here and have them find out this information and contact their legislators. But what we definitely want people to know that if you are going to come to the Capitol, that there are some things that you definitely need to know before you come. And Corey, I'm gonna swing it over to you for you to let everybody know what they need to do.
Thank you. And thank you all for being here. Thanks for tuning in. Thanks for having this and continuing the conversation and helping get the word out. Mainly, that's what we're here for, is to get the word out to squash these bills. And so hopefully folks hear the message and they get it to the youth. Our youth are already on their phone 24/7 and they need to tap into their power and use that power for good. If they're on their phones already, get them to share it with their friends, invite folks, and when you do come to the Capitol, hopefully you'll be there Tuesday. There's a press conference on Tuesday. We're trying to squash the bills. Bring your ID, and please know that if you're coming to the Capitol and if you have any type of cannabis leaf on your clothing, that you may or may not be picked out of a crowd for no good reason other than that leaf, and that's not right. I was on the phone with a friend the other day, and he was walking in, and knowing he was walking to the Capitol and hearing the conversation being on the other end, I was super helpless, but it was more about him in that moment. What could I do? Because he was told to step over to the side. I thought he was talking to a legislator, so I really wasn't knowing what was happening, not being there, but based on the conversation, because he was just previously talking to a lawmaker, I assumed he was talking to another one, but the conversation changed when I heard him say, "How are you? You okay?" And he said, "No, I'm quite nervous. I'm a black man surrounded by 4 white men with guns." And knowing the night before, we just had a call, and the parting words on that group call, uniting all these groups together in their coalition, parting words from Cheryl was, live to fight another day. And in that moment, I didn't know what was about to happen.
It was like a reality that is something that you have to be aware of when we're going out here fighting.
Just like that. Just having a conversation, welcome to the Capitol like any other time and in a moment. And mad props to the person for being calm and collected, even though I'm sure they weren't on the inside, because I could hear their voice and know that it could go one or two ways, and we need to live to fight another day. And that's why I'm glad we're all here and we're all still fighting and coming together. So bring your ID and be prepared to know that if something happens, we're here. We have your back, and that's what we're here for. We're united. And if you want to bring a paddle to the Capitol that says squash the bill, those paddles, because I've driven past a protest, and these folks were sitting in their lawn chairs on their phones, and their signs were on the ground. And that's not how we do it. That's not
protesting as a Gen Z, huh?
That's not how we do it.
Okay.
So it's up to us to show them how we do it.
Absolutely.
And that's why we're here. And that's why we're saying use your voice, tap into these young folks who are on their phones, bring these folks to the Capitol, and be prepared, because we have a long battle. And next year we're going to come back and ask for decrim. So we're not going to stop at this point. We're together, we're united, and we're going to keep moving, because a rolling stone gathers no moss.
Ooh, nice. I like that. I
Bars.
like that. Really.
So they need to bring their ID.
Yes.
Know that you may be
Be prepared.
what's the word?
You're subject to search, right? You have to go through a security screening to get into the Capitol, right?
Even being outside though, they might be
No.
targeting people.
No, so
Okay.
outside you should be fine, right? And I know there's some activities planned and there's some speakers planned for outside. Just, please be mindful. Use your best judgment. But Thursday should be amazing.
It will be. I've been hearing a lot about it. I love seeing all these different organizations come together, because, as somebody who's a business owner and an advocate in their own right, it gets difficult sometimes. So when you see everybody come together, it just makes me feel good, and I know we can make change. They saying, what was that Big Mama said? The 5 fingers together, we are more powerful than we are separate.
And that is true. And even no matter what industry, because one of the things that I want, yes.
We got some input. We got Joe Mack. Joe Mack, we got something for Joe Mack. Coming to the stage, Joe. We want to hear what your input is. You ready? Hold on. Let me bring you on up. Hold on. Let me bring you side by side. You know how I do. Okay.
Yeah, I kind of dipped that a second. My bad. I hit the wrong button.
I'm hitting
There
several
we go,
buttons.
Joe.
There he
Man.
is.
See you.
We can see you, Joe. Hold on. I got to bring you on the screen. Here we go. Hey, Joe.
Hey, how y'all doing out there? Hey, what's going on?
World
I'm
famous
enjoying
Joe
the nice
Mack.
weather.
I can hear you. Oh,
She got it.
Oh, hold on. I'm finna mute
it's in your
us.
ear.
We finna mute us.
I don't hear anything now.
Okay, yeah. Go ahead, Joe. Can you? Yeah,
All right,
can you
there
hear
we
me
go.
now?
Yes. Again, just to make it short and sweet. How y'all doing? I'm Joe Mack. Been around here and there. I've been at the Capitol before, speaking on behalf of cannabis legislation and reform. Just to piggyback of what other people on the stage have already said. Yes, just come prepared. Have your stuff together. Try to avoid, coming in, like Corey said, coming in casual, outwardly expressing your cannabis, enthusiasm. If anything, there's more like a deterrent. So if anything, just kind of present yourself, as a, regular standard person, you can dress semi-formal if you like, but still just go in there and have your stuff together, and be direct because they be on the move because they be going to whatever next agenda the politics be moving to. So any chance you get to stop one and catch their attention, take advantage of it. Other than that, that's all I got for now.
And at that point, you have to strike. Have a elevator pitch ready. And if you don't know what to say to an elected official, we have a lot of resources that we've put on these websites. USA Hemp Revival has a plethora of information. Shout out to Aviva for making sure she puts that together and keeps us all well informed. Also, I'm sure there's some information on the Georgia Medical Cannabis Society's website. Once again, we all need your help. Super excited to see everybody on Thursday. Can't wait. It's going to be educational, informative. It's going to be amazing. Yeah.
Definitely. And before we close out, one other thing that I do want to say too is mentioned, we were talking about the youth, the young people. So if you know anybody who is 17 and a half and about to turn 18, if they're 17 and a half, they can register to vote during high school. So that is one thing that a lot of people don't realize. You don't have to wait till you're 18. In the state of Georgia, you can be 17 and a half and register to vote and be ready for that next. You have to be 18 by that next election, but go ahead and get yourself registered so that you can vote and start talking to these young people, the ones that are in high school, these seniors who are about to graduate. They are the next generation of people who we need to speak up and we need to teach them how to advocate. So definitely get them involved as well so that they can really get to know what they need to do. All right, but thank you all today. Thank you, everybody. This is one of the things that we definitely wanted to do to show that the cannabis and hemp and just this one plant that we all can unite together, that we can work together to make things happen in this state, to move legislation forward, and to just basically free this plant for everybody. It's medicinal for everybody, whether you use it for medicine or you're using it for adult use. It's the same plant, the same plant. The plant doesn't stop for one person and say, okay, well, I'm not going to use my medicinal purposes for you because you're using it as recreation, but I'm just going to use it for her because she's using it for medical. No, that doesn't happen that way. It's the same plant. So definitely everybody unite together. We're going to work together. We're going to show our legislators that together and you can stand as one. But again, thank you everybody for joining us today. I appreciate you tuning in. Stay tuned and watch out for everybody's organizations. Again, look at USA Hemp Revival on the websites there. I always also, as Omari said, Georgia Medical Cannabis Society. Make sure you look at the websites there, and just keep in touch with us and watch out for further information that we will be providing along the way. Again, thank you all. Have a great day.
Free to plant.